Well, there's a Gallup poll out, ladies and gentlemen. 47% of Democrats view capitalism favorably, down from 56% in 2016. But it's worse. Positive view of capitalism among Democrats and those who lean Democrat, 47%. Positive view of socialism by Democrats and those who lean Democrat, 57%. Almost 6 out of 10. Republicans, positive view of capitalism, 71%. That's been consistent over the last decade. Positive view of socialism, 16%. Positive view of capitalism, 71%. Positive view of socialism, 16%. So, a majority of Democrats and those who lean Democrat have a favorable view, a significant 57% of socialism, and less than a majority have a positive view of capitalism. So it's becoming increasingly clear that the Democrat Party is fundamentally changing as it fundamentally transforms America. More and more people who are on the taker side of the ledger, who are the beneficiaries of redistribution of wealth, that is the stealing of wealth from an individual by the government and giving it to another individual, know to register as Democrats. At the same time, the elites, more and more, very, very wealthy, feel the same way. So you have what is relatively consistent with the Democrat Party over the decades. You know what socialism is a modern form of feudalism. It's just bigger and more centralized. Socialism is a modern form of feudalism. It's just bigger and more centralized. And so we're losing the country. A political party that is hostile to American values. Their leaders, when you listen to them, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, and the list goes on and on and on. When you listen to them, you can hear their dripping contempt for capitalism and, even more broadly, Americanism. And the numbers show that more and more of their followers feel the same way. It's when I wrote this book, Liberty and Tyranny. Tyranny always exists in one form or another, to one degree or another. Liberty is always threatened by tyranny. One of the puzzles that we haven't been able to figure out is how do we stop tyranny from using liberty to destroy liberty? Perfect example. You see, you have a right to associate, a right to free speech. Antifa is very, very violent. And so they use the freedom that is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence, broadly, and codified, if you will, or manifests itself in the Constitution, the First Amendment, to try and destroy the Republic. You have politicians who do the same thing. And there's a lot of reasons for this. It's getting increasingly complicated and overwhelming, but academia is one of the major reasons. Immigration, we're not allowed to select people anymore based on their attitudes or beliefs in our capitalist system, in our declaration. If you say that ought to happen, then you're accused of being a racist, like Laura Ingraham, which is an outrageous smear of her and anyone else. You're thrown in with the white supremacists, and all you're doing is defending liberty and a republic and a constitutional system that benefits everybody who's here, regardless of what their skin color is or anything else for that matter. So we have this growing combination of recipients, which is a broader list of people with a broader list of programs, and wealthy elites who do not live among, quote-unquote, the people, and are very left in their mindset. Well, you might say, but they're rich. We've had this discussion. They're rich. Why would they feel this way? They made money. Well, some have inherited it, but you're right. And the reason is they figure they'll always be the top 1%, and they figure they'll always be in control one way or another. There always has to be a top 1%. They'll be in there. Or they'll fly off and go somewhere else. But whatever the reason, it almost doesn't matter. They have to be defeated. We have this discussion all the time. There are people out there who say, we have to have a civil debate. I'm not opposed to a civil debate, but it doesn't begin and end there. It's crucial, debating over ideas, but do you think Antifa wants to debate? You think Black Lives Matter want to debate? Is there anything you can say to Maxine Waters or Kamala Harris or Chuck Schumer that would convince them that they're wrong or to have an open mind? Anything? No. Nothing. How about the people who run La Raza? Is there anything you can say to them? No. Nothing. And so while you want to engage people who are capable of being engaged, and you want to debate ideas, because ideas are absolutely crucial, that's not enough. That's like having a military with an infantry and no Navy and no Air Force. But this is a battle of ideas. And we're losing them. And I'll tell you why. Because the left controls our institutions. They control the media. They control academia. And they control entertainment. And in that way, they control the culture. And the culture is where the country goes. Politics is an offshoot. The culture is where the country goes. And so when people hear day in and day out that you can have free stuff, that somebody's ripping them off, all they need to do is pay a little bit more. It's not fair. It's unequal. We believe in income justice. We believe in social justice, and football players and other iconic figures are taking knees at the inappropriate time, and they're the ones who are the victims. They're the ones who are to be celebrated, not the men and women who go off to the military, not the cops in blue. No. You wind up with a mess. Socialism does not create wealth. Socialism creates more government, more authoritarianism. Socialism is about taking wealth and redistributing it. Politicians who we say we detest become increasingly more powerful. Bureaucrats who we say are too numerous become more numerous. The private sector shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. Then basic needs and provisions can't be provided, let alone new innovations and technologies, life-saving drugs, better food, more available to more and more people. They disappear, like in Venezuela. I saw some left-wing professor on Tucker's show during the break. It's going on and on. He says elderly people like socialism. You have single-payer health care and Medicare, and you have a guaranteed universal income and Social Security. He reveals himself, you see, because the way these programs were sold to all of the elderly in this country, my parents, many of you out there, is that these were insurance programs that you contributed to, right? And you contributed a hell of a lot to both of them. So they stole the money. And so now some young punk adjunct professor goes on and tells you that's socialism. Or they'll tell you, well, the veterans, they like the VA, most of them. That's socialism. What he doesn't tell you is these are little pockets, in some cases, of socialism, or socialism light. If you had systemic socialism in this country, it would collapse. Everybody can't have Social Security. Everybody can't have Medicare. It's just an impossibility. If you can add, if you took third grade mathematics, I think we called it arithmetic back then. But more and more politicians, phony scholars, phony professors, Hollywood knuckleheads are out there telling you that you can have something for nothing. And people start to believe it. Parents and grandparents start to believe it as they destroy any future their children, grandchildren, or generations yet born will have. They destroy it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.